All right. Colts Quick Cuts, episode 7,421.
Man, we are nailing through these things at like a ridiculous rate. It's just outstanding. I'm
Crazy.
so pleased.
I'm Jeff.
I am Ryan.
Doing a remote again today. Technology's cool. I love
It's,
technology.
it's so cool.
Just want to give a shout out to Mr. Howardchuck, as we have finally heard what is actually going on. I guess there was a bit of we kind of all thought this was maybe what was going on, but unfortunately, it has been reported that he has stomach cancer. He's come out and said that to a few people now. Sportsnet, I think, had an article on it. So we wish him all the best.
TSN and
Yeah,
no, I
it's
think everyone kind of they figured it would have been something serious, obviously, to keep him away. And it's very sad, but it's good to see that he's got and not to any surprise by anybody. He's a strong man, and he's prepared to take this battle on, and he's looking to beat it so that he can go forward and share his story, and hopefully treatment goes well for him, and that we get the result that we're hoping for here.
Yeah. So best wishes to the Howard Chucks and everybody involved with that. And Dale, hope you battle through it and everything's good, brother.
Absolutely.
That's about all you can say, I guess, at this point, eh?
Yeah.
We want to talk a little bit today about attendance. I'm going to preface this a little bit. You're going to go through some of the numbers here. I will say I took my daughter the other night as a paying customer, not as a photographer this time.
At a boy.
And it was $50 for the two of us to go. Okay seats. Good sight lines, but not very close to the ice whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I was surprised, $50 to go, and that was not including you got to get the kid a drink and all that fun stuff. And, I had a coffee and we split some caramel corn. And it ended up being, it was another $25 by the time we were done everything, right? So $75 a night to go out and see junior hockey, right? Yep. So I'm just going to preface what we're about to talk about. Just keep that in the back of your mind about how expensive it is getting to go see a junior hockey game in Canada now. Ryan, you got some numbers for us on the attendance so far.
Yeah, so whether or not people have actually seen it yet, on the website we just did a post basically taking a look at the Barrie Colts through the first 11 games of the season. And we didn't get too in detail on it because I knew this was something that we would discuss, and I knew that eventually, providing that numbers didn't improve, that this was something that I would get into a little bit further on the website. We did it last year. We did some polls to kind of figure out why, because this was an issue last season. But I'll just break down on what we had in the article. So, and this is from the post on the website. While the Colts have been decent early this season, attendance at home games hasn't been good. The team is played just over 5 games, and while the team has shown up, the fans have not. Colts Centre can hold an average of 4,195 fans, while the average attendance through the first 5 games of the season has been 2,888. While we realize that it's still early in the season, obviously there's been some long weekends and stuff like that, and everyone, it happens. While we realize it's early in the season, as of now, this is, if the season ended now, this would be by far the lowest season. Unfair to say that, but there's still time, obviously, for the fan base to help improve these numbers. The lowest average at the end of a season was the 2010-2011 Barrie Colts, to which they ended the year with 3,423. The second lowest was actually last season, which averaged about 3,463. Through the first 5 home games last year at BMC, which was the old name, Colts Centre, they averaged 2,755. So last year through 5 games, 2,755. This season, at the same point, 2,888. So just a little bit over 100 more people average. And a reminder that last year ended up being the second lowest in team history. So while there's time to make up for it, we're already pretty much on pace for roughly what ended up last year. And where it was, it wasn't terrible last year, but it wasn't obviously you want to sell out as much as possible, and to have about 1,000 less fans in the arena on average is not obviously what they want to see. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so bring it full circle now to what I was talking about before. Do you think that is a factor about, I don't know, is it just getting the average family, is it getting too expensive to take 4 people out to a Colts game? I mean, that's $100
Yeah.
for one game.
And it's tough. I mean, it's pricey. I mean, it obviously used to be much cheaper. Now, when you go through the like if you are to compare the pricing to a lot of the OHL teams, and I did a post like I said last year, it was roughly around average of what other teams were. So while prices are high, it's a reflection of the overall state of the OHL. Now, if a team is struggling, now we're not in this situation where if you look at, I think right now lowest attendance is North Bay, and it's pretty low. I think it was like maybe they average about 400-500 fewer fans than the Colts have at this point. But the big thing is and most fans, even in the poll we did last year, it was pricing, and like you said, to go just to take your one child, pay $50 just to get in the door, like that's tough to justify, and it's tough to, and if you go to the game and let's say the game doesn't go well, Colts get spanked 8-2, it's going to be really hard moving forward saying, well, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money to end up, being disappointed, and the feeling of leaving an arena when your team loses. It's never a great feeling, and to feel like, I'm not going to say that the pricing's bad, but it is pricey. It's expensive, and it's obviously
Yeah,
not helping. It's not helping getting people, and especially families, into the door. And right now, I mean, the team's doing well, but that needs to be the priority, is fan support, because if your team's great, if you got no one there, what's the point, right?
yeah, you're not making any cash. I mean,
Exactly.
like, I think you're right. I think I'm gonna sound like an old timer here, but I remember going to games. It was $15 a game to go.
Mhm.
That being said, as an old timer, that wasn't that long ago if you think about it. It was probably 5 years.
Yeah.
I want to say you were $15 to $17 a game. I know it's $10 a person, but I mean, if you take a family of 4, that's $40,
Mhm.
right? So I mean that ticket price, I don't know if that's the main reason.
Mhm.
Um,
I think it's a
is there
big
more?
one.
Yeah, is there more
I
stuff to
I think that
do?
there's
Not
there's
really.
a lot of things, and we're kind of rehashing some of the stuff that we'd suggested last year, but some of the stuff hasn't been implemented. There's something needs to be done. Some of the things that we looked into last year, and one of the big ones that we got recommendations from people was flex passes. I just brought up the article here. I'm just kind of skimming through it right now, but a lot of teams like last year, and these are last year's prices. I'm sure that they wouldn't have necessarily fluctuated that much. But last year in Hamilton, for example, you could buy flex passes. So basically, 10 games, you can pick any 10 games, you get your tickets, and it ended up being it was about $180 for the 10 games, which
Yeah.
I think it calculated to about almost 15, and that includes the taxes. So it was about
Well,
15% saving off of the what you would pay at the door. They also offered 20% packs where you get the same thing, pick which games you want, and that was for $320, which was 20% off of the sales price. A lot of
yeah.
teams
I mean,
implement this. This isn't something that is just a Hamilton thing. You see it other OHL cities, and you see it in other leagues. The AHL's big for it. You can see it in some NHL markets as well. It's
it's
you know
right?
this isn't a
Have a
fix,
flex.
but it's saving money, it's locking people in, and the tickets are sold. And that's just one suggestion. There's so many other things to look at.
What about a family pack?
Family packs would also be something. Like I
Family
mean,
pack.
and that's a big thing you do see in the NHL. Sorry.
If I went in there and there was, say, I paid $25 a ticket, but my kid's drink was included. Drink and a small popcorn was included in that price. That's value to me, right? Where I'm going to have to feed them at the game anyway, right? It's going to cost more money. If I can get that value in, hey, this kid's ticket, you know what? There's not really a savings on the ticket price, but you get a coupon for a small drink and a small popcorn.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that makes me, that's value. That puts me in the seat.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and that's one thing that would be a great option for them to put forward. And actually, I think that was something that we did see last year as well. We were looking, a lot of teams would offer like a family pack where you get 4 tickets, you get 4 drinks and 4 popcorns. You know, and I don't have really the numbers, but I mean, some of them were pretty cheap for that deal. I think I remembered seeing some of them for like, it was like $80, you know. And I mean, you couldn't get the 4 tickets for that to go to see a Colts game.
And that puts the family in the seat.
Yeah.
Like very much so. That's a night out where you go, hey, we're gonna go to the night out. You know, maybe we'll go see 3 or 4 games this year instead of just one.
You know, and there's other things that if you are to compare like Thursday night games versus Saturday. Generally, Saturday night games have a much better turnout. You know, so I mean, and I understand this is an OHL scheduling thing, but even if you look into certain things like, you know, you're taking your family to a Thursday night game, it's pretty tough kind of to want to take your kid out on a school night, especially younger kids, when you're not going to be able to get out of the game just before 10 o'clock. And then you've got the traffic of trying to get out of the arena parking lot. And by the time you get home, it's pretty late. So, I mean, one thing they might even want to look into is even something as simple as changing the start time of a Thursday night game. Saturdays, not as much of a concern. And like the ticket price or the ticket sales are a little bit better on Saturday, which makes sense because they do have that following day off, right? So, you know, and then there's other things like, I mean, you know, lots of teams offer promotions, special game nights, you know, where you go out and it's retro 90s night, or, you know, and they, you know, there's not really anything changed to the presentation. It's, you know,
and that's weird to hear, right?
Yeah, you know,
that's weird to hear.
It makes a
90s
difference.
Night, you feel cool.
Especially on the 25th anniversary season of a team that came out in the 90s, you know, throw some jock jams in the loop of music throughout the arena during it. Throw on some silly 90s sitcom things up on the board, you know. Like, I mean, I think it was the Ottawa 67s last year. They did like it was the Office themed night, you know. You know, there's whether you do a night where it's like breast cancer awareness and you do the pink in the rink, you know, like there's tiny little things that you can kind of sprinkle throughout the season that just might be more incentive to get people out for that one game. And sometimes it's just a matter of trying to sell tickets one game at a time. You know, Absolutely. It's great to have a plan, but there's obviously something that isn't, you know, I mean, to have low attendance last year, I don't think the season before was great either. Right now, we're on pace to possibly be and again, these are early numbers.
Yeah,
it's early numbers. Things can change. If this team starts, you know, who knows? But I don't think that the success of the team is, you know, as huge of a hindrance on selling tickets. You know, like, I mean, obviously you want to see a good team, but just I think some of the things that we've kind of touched on are things that would really kind of get fans to games, you know? And it's tough because, I mean, at the end of the day, families are where they need to be marketing to, you know? And, you know, as of right now, it just doesn't look like is it terrible? No. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. And you want to see more, you know, especially when you're trying to sell naming rights on the arena. You know, this is stuff that's going to affect a lot moving forward. So let's do what we can to get some fans in the arena.
Absolutely. And that, sir, seems to be our take.
That's it. Take it how you want, but it's our take.
Yes.
So,
but be there.
Be there. The Colts have a couple games here this week. We're at home tomorrow night. So, take the family out if you can. And if you can't, Saturday, they're back home, and it's the Halloween night game. So if you come out, you can wear your costume. I imagine that they're going to have some promotions. I haven't really seen too
Yeah, they've
much,
been
but
fun.
yeah, they usually do like a costume contest and stuff, and there'll probably be a prize. So, get out there, support the team, dress up, look silly. It's a little pricey, but honestly, it's still great entertainment. Go have fun, spend time with one another instead of just looking at your cell phones, and support the Colts. Exactly.
All right, episode 7,275 out.
Thank you.
Shaft graphic, Jack Carroll, black class poetry. Even when I ghostwrite, everybody know it's me. My diction exhibits a distinguished eloquence. Linguist possess an alien intelligence. Best fed gas, fuel, electric.